Did you know there was a time when the British Empire ruled over 1/4 of the entire planet? To put that into perspective, that's roughly equivalent to the landmass of Russia or the current combined population of China and India. So how did such a small island nation come to rule over so much of the world? And more importantly, how did they lose it? Let's take a journey through time to find out. Our story begins over 1,000 years ago in the year 878 AD. At a time when England was nothing more than a collection of feuding kingdoms, the Danes or Vikings were launching regular raids into the Anglo-Saxon territories. But in that year, a young king named Alfred the Great stepped up to unite the English kingdoms and stand firm against the invaders. Over the course of 25 battles, Alfred fought the Vikings to a standstill. Recognizing the threat posed by the long-term Viking presence, Alfred took measures to ensure the security of his kingdom. He established fortified towns and introduced military conscription, thus creating the foundation for the first national army in England. Alfred's legacy lived on through his heirs, who continued to strengthen England's defenses and expand its territory. In 1171, King Henry II seized control of Ireland, marking England's first foray into overseas expansion. Fast forward another 100 years and England would have its sights set on conquering Wales. In 1283, King Edward the Fair invaded and defeated the Welsh, laying claim to the entire principality. To ensure his authority over this new territory, Edward embarked on a massive campaign to construct 12 new stone castles across Wales, including the iconic Caernarfon Castle, which still stands today. This campaign aimed to not only subdue the Welsh, but also serve as a constant reminder of English rule. But it didn't stop there. In the late 1400s, England's ambitions extended far beyond its European borders. Then, in 1497, an English explorer named John Cabot set sail west and made landfall in Newfoundland, marking the beginning of England's significant presence in the Americas. In doing so, England became the third European power to claim land in the New World, following Spain and Portugal. Importantly, this expedition predated the famous voyage of Christopher Columbus to the Americas by 3 years. As a result, Cabot's discovery opened the door for England to establish colonies in North America. However, it wasn't until 1607 that England's first lasting colony, Jamestown, was established in what is today the state of Virginia. Around the same time, a new era for England was dawning, thanks to a series of monarchs who set the stage for the country's rise to power. First, we have King Henry VIII, who broke away from the Roman Catholic Church in 1534 and established the Church of England, marking a significant shift in religious and political landscape of Europe. This decision not only set the course for England's future, but also had far-reaching consequences for the relationship between England and the rest of Europe. Then came King Elizabeth I, whose reign was marked by significant religious and political changes. She navigated complex religious conflicts within England, while also overseeing a period of cultural and economic growth. Her support for explorers like Sir Francis Drake helped expand England's reach and wealth. Drake, famous for his circumnavigation of the globe, played a pivotal role in establishing England's naval supremacy and amassing wealth through his voyages. During the Spanish Armada, an attempt by Spain to invade England in 1588, Drake's leadership was instrumental in defeating the Spanish fleet, a pivotal moment in English history. Meanwhile, England's influence began to grow in Asia, Africa, and the Americas. In the early 1600s, the East India Company, founded in 1600, gained prominence. Initially a trading company, the EIC's role in expanding England's colonial empire was significant. Following the Battle of Plassey in 1757, where Robert Clive led the British forces to victory against the Nawab of Bengal, the company gained control of Bengal, marking the beginning of British dominance in India. The battle was a turning point in history as it laid the foundation for the British Empire's expansion in India. By the middle of the 18th century, England's colonial possessions included territories in North America, including the 13 colonies along the Atlantic coast and vast areas of land in India. In 1756, the 7 Years' War erupted, a global conflict that saw England emerge as a dominant colonial power. Its victory in this war led to the acquisition of Canada from France in 1763, further solidifying its position as a global colonial power. Fast forward to the 19th century, and we witnessed the zenith of British power. Fueled by the Industrial Revolution, Britain became the world's most powerful economy and naval force. This surge in power enabled the rapid expansion of the British Empire. By controlling key trade routes, Britain exerted significant influence over global trade and commerce. Moreover, Britain's naval supremacy ensured its dominance on the seas, allowing it to protect its vast empire and project power across the globe. One notable example of this power is the Opium Wars in China during the mid-19th century. These wars resulted in the opening of China to British trade and the infamous handover of Hong Kong to British control. Similarly, in Africa, Britain's influence grew significantly during this period. Territories like Egypt, South Africa, and Nigeria came under British control. The British Empire's vast network of colonies and dependencies spread across the globe, encompassing territories in North and South America, the Caribbean, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. At its peak in 1920, the British Empire covered about a quarter of the Earth's land area and was home to approximately 458 million people, representing about a quarter of the world's population. The sheer size and reach of the British Empire were truly remarkable, and its influence was felt in almost every corner of the globe. The famous adage, "The sun never sets on the British Empire," perfectly encapsulated this global reach. However, despite its vast size and power, the seeds of decline were already present within the empire. The 20th century brought about significant challenges that ultimately led to the downfall of the British Empire. One major factor was the aftermath of World War I. The war left Britain in a state of financial distress, and it emerged from the conflict with a diminished position of power on the world stage. Additionally, the war and the subsequent economic hardships contributed to growing unrest and calls for independence among the people living in Britain's colonies. In India, Mahatma Gandhi emerged as a prominent leader of the Indian independence movement. His philosophy of non-violent resistance inspired millions and put pressure on the British authorities. Finally, in 1947, India gained its independence, marking a significant blow to the empire. This event was followed by a wave of independence movements across other British colonies. The process of decolonization gained momentum as countries sought to break free from colonial rule and establish their self-governance. The 1950s and 1960s witnessed a surge in independence movements, with many African and Asian colonies becoming independent nations. In 1956, the Suez Crisis further diminished Britain's global standing. When Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal, a waterway that was vital to international trade, Britain's attempt to regain control ended in failure, highlighting its reduced power and influence on the world stage. In the following decades, Britain continued to grapple with the challenges of decolonization and the changing global dynamics. The last major handover of territory occurred in 1997, when Hong Kong was returned to Chinese control after being under British rule for nearly 150 years. This event marked the symbolic end of the British Empire and the full realization that an era had come to a close. From a small island nation with a strong military presence to controlling 1/4 of the entire world, the British Empire had a profound impact on global history. Its vast reach and influence shaped the course of world events and left a lasting legacy on the global stage. But empires rise and fall, and it's important to remember that behind the statistics lie the stories of countless individuals, communities, and nations affected by the expansion and eventual decline of the British Empire. Their experiences and perspectives are essential to fully understanding this complex and often controversial period in history. So, what do you think? Were there any moments in the rise or fall of the British Empire that particularly shocked you? Also, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to stay tuned for more.